So they finally said it out loud, didn't they? Those words slipped out like a confession at 3 a.m. when the truth stops pretending to be polite. I think about them every day. Not sometimes, not occasionally, not when something reminds them. Every single day. And you know what? You already knew. You felt it in the air, in the silence that followed your name in conversations you weren't part of, in the energy that shifted when you entered the room even when you weren't physically there. But hearing it, hearing them admit it, that's the chef's kiss, isn't it? That's the moment the universe whispers, "Congratulations, you beautiful chaos. You've become unforgettable. Welcome back, or should I say, welcome to the penthouse suite of their consciousness, because clearly you're not just visiting their thoughts anymore. You've moved in, renovated the place, hung up artwork, and you're not paying a single cent in rent. Not a penny, not a dollar. You're living there for free, and they can't evict you no matter how hard they try. Let's establish something crucial right here, right now, because I need you to understand the magnitude of what just happened. When someone says, "I think about them every day," they're not talking about casual memory. They're not talking about, "Oh yeah, I remember that person." No, no, no. This is obsession disguised as reflection. This is you occupying space in their mind that was supposed to be reserved for their own growth, their own healing, their own future. But instead, they wake up and you're there. They go to sleep and you're there. They're in the shower, and somehow your name echoes louder than the water hitting the tiles. They're eating breakfast, and the coffee tastes like the bitterness of knowing you're out there thriving while they're stuck in the loop of what if and why couldn't I? You didn't break into their mind. They invited you in with every judgment they made, every rumor they spread, every time they underestimated you, every moment they thought you'd crumble under the weight of their expectations. And now they can't get you out. You're the song stuck in their head, except there's no skip button. You're the dream they can't shake when they wake up. You're the ghost that doesn't need to haunt, because your presence is already carved into their subconscious. And the beautiful, twisted irony? You're not even trying. Here's where it gets delicious, where the reality of the situation becomes so poetic it almost feels scripted by karma herself. They thought they were watching you. They thought they were the ones with power, with control, with the upper hand. They analyzed your every move, dissected your choices, whispered about your failures, celebrated your struggles like it was their personal entertainment. But what they didn't realize, what they couldn't see because they were too busy staring through their binoculars of bitterness, is that every second they spent focused on you was a second they stole from their own life. Every minute they used to criticize you was a minute they could have used to build something of their own. Every hour they wasted plotting against you, talking about you, hoping you'd fall, was an hour they lost forever. And now, here they are, months or maybe years later, realizing that while they were busy trying to tear you down, you were busy building an empire they can't even begin to touch. You were healing in silence. You were growing in the dark. You were becoming the version of yourself that didn't need their validation, their approval, or their acknowledgement. And that terrifies them more than anything, because it means all that time, all that energy, all that focus they poured into you didn't stop you. It fueled you. But let's talk about what I think about them every day really means when you strip away the polite confession and get to the raw, unfiltered truth underneath. It means they wake up and your name is the first thought that crosses their mind. Not because they love you, but because they can't comprehend how you survived what they tried to put you through. It means they scroll through social media not to see what their friends are doing, but to see if you've posted, if you're happy, if you've moved on, if you're winning, because they need to know. They need confirmation that you're still struggling, still hurting, still affected by their absence or their betrayal or their cruelty. But every time they look, they see the opposite. They see you glowing. They see you laughing. They see you thriving, and it eats them alive because it dismantles the narrative they built in their head, the story where you were supposed to be broken, defeated, destroyed. Instead, you're the main character in a redemption arc they never saw coming, and they're just extras in the background of your comeback story. They replay old conversations in their head, searching for the moment where you faked it, trying to convince themselves that your kindness wasn't real, that your strength was an illusion, that your success is temporary. But deep down, they know the truth. They know you were real. They know you were genuine. They know everything they accused you of being was actually just a reflection of what they feared in themselves. Now here's the part where we flip the script entirely, because living rent-free in someone's head isn't just about them thinking about you. It's about why they can't stop. And the core reason that keeps you lodged in their consciousness like a splinter they can't remove, is because you represent everything they're not. You represent the courage they don't have. You represent the integrity they compromised. You represent the peace they traded for chaos. You represent the growth they're too scared to pursue. Every time they think about you, they're not actually thinking about you. They're thinking about the version of themselves they could have been if they had made different choices. You're the mirror they can't avoid, and mirrors don't lie. They just reflect. And what you reflect back to them is uncomfortable, unbearable, undeniable truth. You show them that healing is possible, that change is real, that rising above toxicity isn't just a concept, it's a choice. And they didn't make that choice. They chose bitterness. They chose gossip. They chose destruction. They chose to stay in the mud while you climbed out, washed off, and built a palace on higher ground. So when they say, I think about them every day, what they're really saying is, I think about who I could have been every day, and they remind me of my failure. You're not rent-free in their head because you're special to them. You're rent-free because you're evidence they can't erase. Let's go deeper, because we're not stopping at surface-level satisfaction. We're diving into the psychology of why this happens, why certain people become permanent residents in someone else's mental landscape. It starts with unfinished business. Not the kind of business where someone owes you money or an apology. I'm talking about emotional unfinished business, the kind that occurs when someone expected a specific outcome and got the complete opposite. They expected you to beg for their friendship back. You didn't. They expected you to publicly fall apart. You didn't. They expected you to seek revenge, to clap back, to drag them the way they dragged you. You didn't. And that silence, that refusal to engage, that decision to simply walk away and focus on yourself, that's what haunted them. Because silence isn't empty. Silence is full of power. Silence is the loudest statement you can make when people are used to noise. They were ready for war, and you gave them peace. They were prepared for a fight, and you gave them nothing to fight against. You became untouchable not because you built walls, but because you built wings and flew to a place they couldn't reach. And now they're stuck on the ground, looking up, wondering how you did it, wondering what they missed, wondering why they can't move on when you clearly have. Here's something most people don't talk about when it comes to living rent-free in someone's head. It's not always dramatic. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's subtle, quiet, almost invisible. It's the way their mood shifts when your name comes up in conversation, the slight pause before they respond, the forced casualness in their voice when they say, "Oh yeah, I haven't thought about them in forever," which is code for, I literally thought about them this morning and yesterday and the day before that and probably tomorrow too. It's the way they stalk your profiles from fake accounts, thinking they're slick, thinking you don't notice the random views from profiles with no pictures and 0 followers. It's the way they bring you up in conversations where you're not relevant, spinning narratives to make themselves look better, to justify what they did, to rewrite history in their favor because the real history makes them look like the villain they actually were. It's the way they compare every new person they meet to you, measuring everyone against the standard you set without even trying. It's the way they save old screenshots, old messages, old photos, not because they miss you, but because they're trying to study you like a textbook, trying to figure out the formula of your success, the blueprint of your peace, the secret to your glow-up. And here's the kicker. There is no secret. You just chose yourself. You just decided that your mental health mattered more than their opinions. You just walked away from tables where you were the topic, but not the guest. That's it. That's the whole formula. But to them, it's magic they can't replicate. Now, I want you to sit with this truth for a second, because it's about to validate everything you've ever felt but couldn't put into words. The fact that they think about you every day isn't a compliment to you. It's a consequence for them. It's the price they pay for how they treated you. It's karma's subscription service, and they're locked into a lifetime membership with no cancel button. Every time they mistreated you, they planted a seed in their own conscience. Every lie they told about you added weight to their guilt. Every time they smiled in your face while plotting behind your back, they created a debt with the universe that charges interest daily. And that interest? That's you, living in their head, disrupting their peace, interrupting their happiness, reminding them at random moments, during their highest highs and their lowest lows, that they chose cruelty over kindness, ego over empathy, destruction over growth. You didn't curse them. They cursed themselves. You didn't cast a spell. They created their own prison. And the warden? The warden is their own conscience. And you're the poster on the wall they can't take down. You're the evidence they can't destroy. You're the witness they can't silence. And no matter how much time passes, no matter how much they try to move on, evolve, grow, change, you're there. Not as a person they can contact or confront, but as a permanent scar on their psyche, a reminder of the version of themselves they're ashamed of but can't fully escape. But here's where it gets even more interesting, where the narrative takes a turn that most people don't expect. Living rent-free in someone's head isn't just about what they think. It's about what they do because of what they think. It's the subliminal influence you have on their decisions without lifting a finger. It's the way they change their routine to avoid places you might be. It's the way they curate their social media to look like they're thriving, hoping you'll see it and feel. What? Jealous? Regretful? Sad? But the joke's on them, because you're not watching. You're not checking. You're not losing sleep over someone who lost you. They're performing for an audience that's not even in the theater anymore. They're creating content for a viewer who changed the channel years ago. And that is the most poetic form of irrelevance. They're shouting into a void decorated with your name, and the void isn't even echoing back. It's just empty, silent, unbothered, just like you. They're running a marathon in their mind, and you're not even on the track. You're at home, living your life, building your future, healing your past, completely unaware that somewhere out there, someone is having a full mental breakdown over the fact that you're fine, that you're happy, that you survived, that you thrived, that you won without even playing their game. Let me paint you a picture of what thinking about someone every day actually looks like when you zoom out and see the full scope of the obsession. It's them lying in bed at night, scrolling through old photos they promised themselves. They deleted but secretly saved in a hidden folder, labeled something inconspicuous like random or backup. It's them asking mutual friends about you in the most casual way possible, pretending it's just innocent curiosity when really it's desperation for information, for updates, for any crumb of your life that they're no longer part of. It's them rewriting history in their journal or their therapy sessions, painting themselves as the victim, the misunderstood one, the person who tried their best while you were difficult, complicated, too much, not enough. It's them listening to songs that remind them of you and feeling a pang of something they can't quite name, regret, nostalgia, anger, longing, all mixed into a cocktail of unresolved emotion that they drink daily. It's them seeing your success and feeling a weird combination of pride and bitterness. Proud because at some point they knew you, bitter because they're no longer connected to your glow. It's them practicing conversations with you in their head, apologies they'll never give, explanations they'll never deliver, accusations they'll never voice, because deep down they know none of it would land the way they want it to. You've moved on, and that's the part that kills them. Not that you moved on from them specifically, but that you moved on, period. You evolved past the chapter they tried to trap you in. You outgrew the version of yourself they thought was permanent. You became someone they no longer recognize, someone they can't predict, control, or understand. And that loss of power, that loss of access, that loss of relevance in your story, that's what keeps you in their head every single day. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the question that's probably sitting in the back of your mind like a quiet whisper. Is this healthy? Is it okay to feel satisfaction from this? Am I wrong for enjoying the fact that I'm on their mind? And here's my answer. Feel whatever you need to feel. You're human. You were hurt. You were wronged. You were betrayed, abandoned, misunderstood, judged, attacked. You have every right to feel vindicated when the universe confirms that your absence left a mark, that your presence was more valuable than they realized, that your peace was worth more than their chaos. This isn't about being petty. This isn't about revenge. This is about validation. This is about knowing that your pain wasn't invisible, that your worth wasn't imaginary, that your impact wasn't insignificant. They think about you every day because you mattered. You changed something in them, even if that change is discomfort, even if that change is regret, even if that change is the realization that they lost something real when they chose to destroy it. So, yes, feel that satisfaction. Let it wash over you like sunlight after a storm. Let it remind you that you're not crazy for feeling like you deserved better, because you did, you do. And their daily thoughts are just receipts from the universe. Proof that you were right to walk away, right to choose yourself, right to protect your peace, even when it meant losing people who didn't deserve to keep you anyway. But here's the twist, the part where wisdom meets power, and you realize that living rent-free in someone's head is only satisfying if you're not living in a prison of your own making. Because yes, they think about you every day, but do you think about them? And if you do, what kind of thoughts are they? Are they thoughts of triumph and satisfaction, or are they thoughts of anger and resentment? Are they empowering you, or are they draining you? Because here's the ultimate truth that nobody tells you about living rent-free in someone's mind. It doesn't matter if you don't also own the deed to your own mental real estate. They can think about you every second of every day, and it means nothing if you're still giving them power in your own thoughts. Real freedom isn't just about being unforgettable to those who wronged you. Real freedom is about being unbothered by those who think they still have space in your life. It's about hearing that they think about you daily and feeling nothing. Not satisfaction, not anger, not smugness, just nothing, just peace, just the calm recognition that their thoughts are their problem, not your trophy, because the highest level of winning isn't making them obsess over you. It's reaching a place where their obsession doesn't even register as relevant anymore. That's transcendence. That's true victory. That's the difference between revenge and evolution. Revenge keeps you connected to the past. Evolution propels you into a future where the past is just a footnote, not a chapter. So where do we go from here? Where does this revelation take us now that we know someone's confession has confirmed what we already suspected? That you're not just memorable, you're unforgettable. Here's where we go. We go higher. We go deeper into our own peace. We go further into our own purpose. We take this information not as fuel for ego, but as confirmation that we're on the right path. Because if people who hurt you are still thinking about you, it means you didn't just survive what they did. You transformed through it. And transformation is threatening to people who are stagnant. Growth is intimidating to people who are stuck. Peace is offensive to people who are drowning in chaos. So let them think about you. Let them replay old memories and dissect old conversations and wonder what could have been different. Let them carry you in their thoughts like a weight they can't put down. Because while they're doing that, you're going to be over here, in the present moment, fully alive, fully free, fully focused on becoming the best version of yourself that's possible. You're going to wake up and think about your goals, your dreams, your family, your purpose, your joy. You're going to go to bed grateful, content, at peace. And somewhere, in some corner of the world, someone is going to be lying awake, thinking about you, wondering how you do it, wishing they could undo what they did, regretting decisions they can't take back. And that's not your responsibility to fix. That's not your burden to carry. That's their karma to reconcile with. You just keep walking forward. You just keep glowing. You just keep living so loudly, so brightly, so authentically, that anyone who thinks about you can't help but see the contrast between who they are and who you've become. Let's talk about the anatomy of obsession for a moment, because understanding why someone can't stop thinking about you is part of understanding your own power. Obsession happens when someone's brain gets stuck in a loop of trying to solve a puzzle that doesn't have a solution. In their case, the puzzle is you. How did you survive? How did you recover? How did you move on? How did you become better instead of bitter? How did you heal instead of hurt others? How did you rise instead of staying down? These are questions they ask themselves every single day, and the answers evade them, because the answers require self-awareness they don't possess. They don't understand that you survived because you chose to. They don't understand that you recovered because you did the work. They don't understand that you moved on because you released what wasn't meant for you. They don't understand that you became better because you refused to let pain poison your spirit. They don't understand that you healed because you faced your wounds instead of projecting them onto others. They don't understand that you rose because you had faith in yourself, even when no one else did. And because they don't understand, they keep thinking. They keep wondering. They keep analyzing. They keep circling back to you in their thoughts, hoping that one day the pieces will click, that one day they'll figure out your secret, that one day they'll decode the formula. But there is no formula. There's just choice. And you made the right ones. They made the wrong ones. And now they're living with the consequences of watching someone they underestimated outgrow them in every way possible. Ah, look who just stumbled into the truth. Welcome back, you beautiful chaos agents, you silent warriors, you ghosts they thought they buried. I've been waiting for you, because something just happened, didn't it? Something cracked open. Someone slipped. Someone got drunk on their own arrogance and let the mask fall just long enough for you to see what was always underneath. And now you're here, pulse racing, mind spinning, trying to make sense of what you just learned. Let me save you some time. Everything you suspected? Every paranoid thought you dismissed as overthinking? Every time you felt like something was off but couldn't quite name it? You were right. You were always right. They leaked it. Not intentionally, of course. They never do. But somewhere between their false confidence and their desperate need to brag, someone in their circle couldn't keep their mouth shut anymore. Maybe it was a text screenshot. Maybe it was a conversation overheard at exactly the right moment. Maybe it was a former ally who finally grew a conscience or just wanted to watch them burn. However it happened, the information is out now. The whole blueprint, the entire strategy they've been running against you for months, maybe years. And you know what the sickest part is? It's worse than you imagined. Because you thought maybe, just maybe, you were being paranoid. You thought maybe you were reading too much into things. But now you have proof, cold, undeniable. Screenshots don't lie, proof that they coordinated against you, that they planned your isolation, that they weaponized people you trusted, that they turned your own vulnerability into ammunition. And the question burning in your chest right now is simple. Why? Why you? Why this much effort? Why this much energy devoted to one person? I'll tell you why, but you already know. Because you scared them. Not with violence, not with threats, not with anything external. You scared them with your potential. You scared them with your refusal to stay down. You scared them with your ability to see through the masks everyone else believed. You represented something they couldn't control, a variable they couldn't predict, a force they couldn't manipulate with the usual tactics. So they did what cowards always do when they encounter something they can't dominate. They conspired. They organized. They built a cage out of lies, rumors, manipulated narratives, and strategic isolation. And they smiled in your face the entire time. They asked how you were doing while actively sabotaging your peace. They offered support while secretly celebrating every time you stumbled. They played the role of friend, ally, mentor, partner, while the whole time, behind closed doors, they were plotting your downfall like you were some kind of threat to national security. Let's talk about what you found out. Let's get specific because generalities don't do this justice. You discovered they had group chats. Multiple group chats with names like situation management or keeping an eye on things or some other sterile corporate terminology that made their malice sound professional. You found out they shared your private conversations, things you said in confidence, moments of vulnerability you shared, thinking you were safe. They screenshotted your words, stripped them of context, and passed them around like evidence in a trial you didn't know you were on. You learned they coordinated their responses to you, decided together how to react, what to say, when to pull back, when to apply pressure. Every interaction you had with them wasn't spontaneous. It was calculated, rehearsed, part of a larger strategy you weren't supposed to figure out. You were playing checkers while they were playing psychological chess with a team of coaches watching from the sidelines. And the gaslighting. Let's not skip over the gaslighting, because that might be the most criminal part of all. When you started sensing something was wrong, when your intuition was screaming that things didn't add up, they made you question your own perception. They called you paranoid. They said you were overthinking. They suggested maybe you needed help, maybe you were stressed, maybe you were projecting your own insecurities. They weaponized therapy language against you, turned your self-awareness into a character flaw, made you feel crazy for noticing patterns that were absolutely real. And now you have proof those patterns weren't in your head. The conspiracy you felt was an actual conspiracy. The setup you sensed was a legitimate setup. Your intuition was sharper than their deception. But they almost convinced you otherwise. They almost made you doubt the one thing that could have saved you earlier, your own gut instinct. That's what makes this unforgivable. Not just what they did, but how they made you feel insane for seeing it. Here's what they didn't count on, though. They didn't count on the leak. They didn't count on their own circle being full of people just as fake as they are. Because here's the truth about people who conspire together. They don't actually trust each other. They're all just using each other for their own agendas. So when the opportunity came for one of them to gain something by exposing the others, or when the guilt finally outweighed the loyalty, or when they just got sloppy and careless, the information spilled out. And now you're holding it. Now you're staring at messages that confirm everything. Now you're reading conversations where they laughed about your struggles, where they celebrated your failures, where they coordinated their next moves against you like military strategists planning an invasion. And the rage you're feeling right now, that's not just anger. That's validation. That's your soul screaming, "I told you so," at every part of yourself that tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. But let's go deeper, because we need to understand the psychology behind what they did. These people, they weren't acting out of strength. They were acting out of pure, concentrated fear. Fear of what you represent. Fear of what you're capable of. Fear that if you reached your full potential, their mediocrity would be exposed by comparison. See, they needed you to fail, not because your failure gave them anything tangible, but because your success would have revealed how much they were coasting, how much they were faking, how much their confidence was just performance art covering up deep inadequacy. You were the mirror they couldn't stand to look into. So instead of dealing with their own reflection, they tried to shatter the mirror. They tried to break you before you could show them what they really were. And for a while, it almost worked. For a while, you questioned yourself, doubted your worth, wondered if maybe they were right about you. Let me tell you what was really happening during those moments of doubt. While you were crying, they were celebrating. While you were questioning your sanity, they were congratulating themselves on a strategy well executed. While you were isolating yourself, thinking you were the problem, they were high-fiving each other for successfully making you believe their lies. Every tear you shed was a victory to them. Every moment you spent wondering what was wrong with you instead of what was wrong with them was exactly what they wanted. They needed you to turn inward, to attack yourself, to become your own worst enemy. Because as long as you were focused on fixing yourself, you weren't focused on exposing them. As long as you believed you were broken, you wouldn't realize they were the ones who were defective, damaged, operating from a place of such deep insecurity that they had to coordinate group attacks just to feel powerful for 5 minutes. And now the masks are off. Now you've seen the messages. Now you know who said what, who initiated what, who went along with what, even though they claimed to care about you. Now you're looking at people differently. That friend who always seemed supportive? You found their message suggesting ways to undermine your confidence. That mentor who acted like they wanted you to succeed? You saw where they advised others on how to limit your opportunities. That partner who claimed to have your back? You discovered they were reporting your every move to people who were actively working against you. Every relationship you thought was solid has cracks now. Every memory you thought was genuine is tainted. Every moment you believed was real now feels like a performance you weren't aware you were watching. And the grief you're feeling? That's normal. You're mourning the people you thought they were. You're grieving the relationships you believed you had. You're processing the death of a reality that never actually existed. But here's where we shift. Because yes, what they did is criminal. Yes, the betrayal runs deep. Yes, you have every right to feel devastated, furious, violated. But you also have something they never accounted for. You have the truth. You have evidence. You have ammunition. And most importantly, you have a choice about what to do with all of it. This is the moment that defines everything going forward. This is the fork in the road where you decide who you become after betrayal. Do you become bitter? Do you become vengeful? Do you let their poison turn you into a version of yourself you don't recognize? Or do you take this information, process it, and use it to build something they never saw coming? A version of yourself so untouchable, so evolved, so far beyond their reach that their entire plan becomes irrelevant. Not because you forgave them, but because you outgrew the need for their destruction to feel powerful. Listen carefully. Revenge is easy. Revenge is what they expect. They're probably already preparing for it, already crafting their victim narratives for when you expose them. They've got their excuses ready, their justifications lined up, their own counterattacks planned. They want you to come at them directly because that keeps you engaged with them. That keeps you in their world, playing their game, operating on their frequency. But what if you did something they can't prepare for? What if you took all this rage, all this pain, all this betrayal, and transmuted it into fuel for a transformation so profound that you become unrecognizable? What if you used their betrayal as the catalyst to become exactly what they feared you'd become? Not a victim screaming for justice, but a force of nature that doesn't need validation, doesn't need acknowledgement, doesn't need anything from them because you've built a reality where they simply don't matter anymore. Here's what I mean. They conspired to keep you small, so become large. Not loud, large. Not performative, expansive. Build something so impressive that their whispers become white noise. Create something so valuable that their attempts to undermine you look pathetic in comparison. Develop skills so sharp that their sabotage can't even reach you. They wanted to isolate you? Use that isolation to go so deep into your craft, your purpose, your evolution, that when you emerge, you're operating on a level they can't comprehend. They tried to turn people against you, build new connections with individuals who actually have substance, who operate with integrity, who don't need group chats to coordinate basic human decency. They attempted to destroy your reputation, build a body of work so undeniable that your results speak louder than their lies ever could. This is how you win, not by destroying them, but by making them irrelevant to your story. But I'm not going to lie to you and pretend the betrayal doesn't sting. I'm not going to feed you some spiritual bypass about forgiveness being for you, not them. Right now, you're allowed to be furious. You're allowed to feel the full weight of what they did. You're allowed to acknowledge that what they did wasn't just mean or petty. It was calculated evil. It was sustained, coordinated psychological warfare against someone who trusted them. That's not something you just brush off with positive affirmations and deep breaths. You need to feel this. You need to let the rage move through you. You need to sit with the fact that people you cared about were actively working to harm you. Because if you skip this part, if you jump straight to forgiveness or moving on without processing the depth of the violation, it'll just show up later in uglier ways. You'll become suspicious of everyone. You'll sabotage genuine connections because you're still carrying unprocessed betrayal. You'll attract similar situations because you didn't learn the lessons this one came to teach. So let's extract the lessons, because that's the only way this wasn't a complete waste of your time and energy. Lesson 1. Your intuition is sharper than you've been giving it credit for. Every time you felt something was off, it was off. Every time you sensed duplicity, there was duplicity. Every time you questioned someone's motives, your questions were valid. The lesson isn't that you should have trusted your gut sooner, although that's part of it. The lesson is that your gut is a highly sophisticated detection system that picks up on incongruence, inconsistency, and inauthenticity, even when your conscious mind is trying to rationalize it away. From now on, when that feeling shows up, you don't ignore it. You don't talk yourself out of it. You investigate it. You honor it. You let it guide your decisions, even when you can't immediately explain why something feels wrong. Lesson 2. Not everyone deserves access to you. The people who betrayed you, you let them in. You shared your dreams, your fears, your vulnerabilities with them. You gave them ammunition without realizing they were collecting it to use against you later. The lesson here isn't to become closed off or cynical. It's to become selective. To understand that intimacy, real intimacy, is earned over time through consistent demonstration of character, not through shared history, not through charming personalities, not through impressive credentials or social status, through repeated evidence that someone handles your trust with care, that they don't gossip about you to others, that they celebrate your wins genuinely, that they challenge you from a place of love, not competition, that they respect boundaries and communicate directly. These are the criteria, and anyone who doesn't meet them doesn't get the real you. They get the version of you that's appropriate for acquaintances, friendly but not vulnerable, present but not available for exploitation. Lesson 3. Groups lie. I don't care how tight a friend group seems, how long they've been together, how much they claim to have each other's backs. When groups form collective opinions about an individual, especially negative ones, there's almost always an agenda behind it. There's someone leading the charge, someone planting seeds, someone who benefits from the group turning against that person, and everyone else just goes along because humans are tribal, and going against the group consensus feels dangerous even when the group is wrong. The lesson is to be extremely skeptical of collective judgments. When multiple people suddenly have a problem with someone, especially when that someone is you, ask yourself, who started this narrative? Who benefits from this perspective? What information might be missing or distorted? Because more often than not, group consensus is just mob mentality, dressed up as shared concern, and the people participating in it feel justified because they're not acting alone. They're reinforcing each other's worst impulses and calling it solidarity. Lesson 4, and this is crucial. The people who smile the biggest often hide the sharpest knives. The ones who are overly friendly, overly helpful, overly interested in your business? Red flag. Genuine people don't perform kindness. They just are kind, in quiet, consistent, unglamorous ways. They don't announce their loyalty. They demonstrate it through actions over time. They don't need to constantly remind you how much they care because their behavior speaks for itself. But performative people, they need the display. They need witnesses to their goodness. They need credit for being supportive. And often, that performance is covering up the exact opposite energy. They're overly nice to your face because they're actively hostile behind your back. They gather information under the guise of caring. They position themselves as confidants so they can later use what you tell them against you. The lesson is to trust consistency over intensity. Trust the friend who shows up in small ways repeatedly over the one who makes grand gestures occasionally. Trust patterns over promises. Now, let's talk about what happens next, because you can't just sit on this information forever. You have to make decisions. The first decision is whether to confront them, and I'm going to give you advice you might not want to hear. In most cases, confrontation is pointless. Not because you don't deserve answers. You absolutely do. But because people who are capable of this level of betrayal are also capable of lying directly to your face, rewriting history, playing the victim, and turning your legitimate grievances into evidence that you're unstable. They will gaslight you even when confronted with proof. They will claim you're taking things out of context. They will say you're being dramatic, that it wasn't that serious, that you're misinterpreting their intentions. They will cry, apologize, promise to do better, and then do the exact same thing again once you let your guard down. You will not get the satisfaction you're looking for from confrontation because they don't operate with the same moral framework you do. They don't feel guilt the way you do. They feel inconvenience. They feel annoyance at being caught, but they don't feel genuine remorse. So what do you do instead? You disappear. Not literally, although distance is good, but you disappear from their ability to affect you emotionally. You stop responding to their provocations. You stop explaining yourself. You stop defending yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You become unreachable, not physically absent necessarily, but energetically unavailable. When they text, you respond politely but briefly. When they try to engage you in drama, you don't take the bait. When they attempt to provoke a reaction, you give them nothing. You become boring to them, uninteresting, not worth the effort. Because people like this, they feed on reaction. They need your anger, your hurt, your desperate attempts to prove yourself. When you stop providing that supply, they move on to someone else. And in the meantime, you're building a life so fulfilling that their absence becomes a relief rather than a loss. But what about the others? The ones who went along with it but weren't the ringleaders. The ones who liked the messages but didn't initiate them. The ones who stayed silent while you were being attacked but didn't actively participate. Here's the hard truth. Silence is participation. Watching someone get destroyed and doing nothing makes you complicit. These people might not have been the architects of your pain, but they were willing bystanders, and you need to decide if that's forgivable in your world. Some of them might reach out now that things are exposed. They might apologize, claim they felt pressured, say they didn't know it was that serious. And maybe some of them are genuine. Maybe some of them really were weak rather than malicious. But you're under no obligation to accept those apologies. You're under no obligation to make them feel better about their cowardice. You can acknowledge their apology and still choose not to restore the relationship. You can forgive them for your own peace without letting them back into your life. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. You can release the anger without reopening the door. Say you're being dramatic, that it wasn't that serious, that you're misinterpreting their intentions. They will cry, apologize, promise to do better, and then do the exact same thing again once you let your guard down. You will not get the satisfaction you're looking for from confrontation because they don't operate with the same moral framework you do. They don't feel guilt the way you do. They feel inconvenience. They feel annoyance at being caught, but they don't feel genuine remorse. So what do you do instead? You disappear. Not literally, although distance is good, but you disappear from their ability to affect you emotionally. You stop responding to their provocations. You stop explaining yourself. You stop defending yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You become unreachable, not physically absent necessarily, but energetically unavailable. When they text, you respond politely but briefly. When they try to engage you in drama, you don't take the bait. When they attempt to provoke a reaction, you give them nothing. You become boring to them, uninteresting, not worth the effort. Because people like this, they feed on reaction. They need your anger, your hurt, your desperate attempts to prove yourself. When you stop providing that supply, they move on to someone else. And in the meantime, you're building a life so fulfilling that their absence becomes a relief rather than a loss. But what about the others? The ones who went along with it but weren't the ringleaders. The ones who liked the messages but didn't initiate them. The ones who stayed silent while you were being attacked but didn't actively participate. Here's the hard truth. Silence is participation. Watching someone get destroyed and doing nothing makes you complicit. These people might not have been the architects of your pain, but they were willing bystanders, and you need to decide if that's forgivable in your world. Some of them might reach out now that things are exposed. They might apologize, claim they felt pressured, say they didn't know it was that serious. And maybe some of them are genuine. Maybe some of them really were weak rather than malicious. But you're under no obligation to accept those apologies. You're under no obligation to make them feel better about their cowardice. You can acknowledge their apology and still choose not to restore the relationship. You can forgive them for your own peace without letting them back into your life. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. You can release the anger without reopening the door.